Kirsty, what are people saying?
First we have Sue on line 1.
Sue, good morning.
Good morning.
OK. I like the way you say good morning. That's promising. What would you do in this woman's position?
Well, I actually did it. I was within a relationship, and I have to say, ex-partner talked me round into a fantasy of his. Without getting into too much detail, there's now a very...
well, no, it is daytime telly.
On the canine line.
Say again, say again.
It's now... there's a very popular expression for it now. Something to do with canines.
Oh, right, right, OK.
Basically, his fantasy was...
OK, I think we'll just... I think I've got the fantasy bit more than I want to.
No, all I'm saying is, the point is that I gave in to his fantasy because at the time I very much cared for him, and I thought, OK, it's a one-off. Maybe it's not too bad. If this is what he wants to do once, then that's fine. By the end of the relationship, and it's virtually 50% of what caused the end of the relationship...
I'm not surprised.
The only way in which he would tolerate having a relationship was every single time. It went from a fantasy to the norm. And I would never, ever, ever go over that border of giving in to someone else's fantasy again.
So your advice...
If it's mutual, it's fine.
Your advice to this woman would be... Don't do it.
Don't go there. If it's against all your principles, do not go there. Because a one-off request for a fantasy can become the norm. And that makes the relationship totally hateful.
OK, so it's the repetition element of it that dragged the relationship down.
It became the norm. There was no love-making involved anymore. That's it. It was just purely sex.
See, I'm just wondering, because when you were circumlocuting the fantasy, I mean, I found that idea so appalling, I have to say, that it wouldn't be something I would have entertained. And I'm just wondering if what he asked you to do was less extreme, whether or not you would be... Whether it would have been... I don't know whether it would have been... I'm going to use the normal word, which I hate. Whether it would have just been more acceptable.
I know what you mean. It started as less extreme. It started as, love on a mountaintop, Northern Soul. But then it was love on a mountaintop and, there's a guy washing.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't want to be too explicit, but it became an absolute nightmare. So what can start off as something titillating, oh yes, it could be fun, became a nightmare.
Then, can we go one step further with this, Sue, and then say that it is wrong for one partner to ask their other half to indulge in their fantasies? Maybe all fantasies should stay just that, fantasies, not reality.
Depends what the fantasy is. Maybe, but I see nothing wrong if a couple decides to want to dress up as hair flick. And you know what I mean? A little bit of dressing up, something like that, no problem. But
OK, so broad-minded lady, thank you. Clear. And your face says what I'm feeling inside, really.
Well, I tell you, the minute he asks you or she asks you and tells you what the fantasy is, at that point you could very well lose all respect for them entirely, and all love goes out the window anyway.
Out the window.
Abusive. What she was talking about was abusive. Yes. It was horrible. It was degrading, and the threesome we didn't think of, that was really horrible. I think it's a totally different thing, because that's not about love, and it was. You could tell that from her voice, it was the thing of low self-esteem and her being used in that way and feeling worse and worse about herself.
I don't know whether we've got much further with this because it was such an extreme example, but it certainly raised loads of questions, I think, about...
It's whether you discover something about your partner in their fantasy that they've kept hidden.
That's what I mean.
They've kept hidden for such a long time, and they're not the person. They're not the person you thought.
If somebody said that to me, I mean, that would be it. I mean, because you just think... I mean, that's the same as saying I want to get involved with children, quite frankly. I mean, it's way, way, way over the line,
And also, I mean, it's what she said there, a fantasy, maybe we all have fantasies, but fantasies should remain where they are. And reality is different, and that's where we all live, and shouldn't we come to terms with that?
I think there's a line. you know, and that line was crossed, most definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, we'll leave it there because we've got tons more talking points to get through. And I apologise because there's a few other good calls apparently waiting to get on there. So we'll move on. Thank you, Sue. After the break, and